Welcome back. The Union Gospel Mission has been helping the homeless get back on their feet for decades. And one young man told us he's finally ready to get off the streets and away from drugs for good.
I kind of had like holes and like bruises on my face.
25-year-old Tyler Burnett is describing what he calls the lowest moment of his life.
I was using meth and I was using heroin, but the meth really got out of control for me. It does weird things to people where they start to like pick at their face.
A decade of drug abuse landed him in the hospital again, this time battling another life-threatening condition caused by that constant picking, sepsis.
I just woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's ruining my life and I don't have much of a life.
For the 4 years that his addictions were at their worst, Tyler says things like food and shelter didn't matter.
You know those recycling bins, like the big ones where you put like cardboard and stuff? I've slept in those.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired, Tyler reached out to his grandparents for help. They brought him here to the Union Gospel Mission.
I've been at rock bottom for so long, I'm ready to start climbing back up that ladder.
It was in this very room just a few months back that Tyler met with his grandpa and Dean Whistler, a social services manager with the mission, to come up with a plan.
I case managed him, discovered what he was dealing with, and we put him into the Employment Ready program.
Part of the UGM program is figuring out the why of a person's homelessness.
I tell them, you're going to have heart surgery. They're going to pull your heart out and help get rid of that stuff that caused you to drink and drug.
For Tyler, it will involve revisiting his childhood. At 3, his mom chose her abusive boyfriend over him and his sister and put them up for adoption.
I think it was just so traumatic, and I was so young that it just stuck with me. I never really got over it.
In his teens, he learned his father had been killed as he was trying to track him down.
It kind of leaves a lot of unanswered questions.
To be honest, his first few weeks here and knowing the horrific story and things that he's dealt with, all the years of homelessness and his youth, I'm like, oh boy.
So far, Tyler has defied the odds, proving himself to be a dedicated hard worker. He's risen into a supervisor position in the cleaning department at the mission and is on track to be enrolled in the long-term recovery program in April.
I'm feeling confident. I'm just ready to get over this chapter of my life so I can get on to actually living my life and not being stuck in that cycle.
Day in and day out, Spokane police answer calls for and about homeless people in the city.
Police are on the front lines of this issue, and they took our KXLY4 news crew out in the field to see things through their eyes.
Let's take a drive around Spokane with Senior Officer Ben Mapplethorpe. He knows about homelessness in the city. He's been a neighborhood resource officer for several years now.
Every call is different. As the same as they may seem, everything's different.
As an officer downtown, he's handled homeless people from warming shelters to the streets.
Honestly, they're wherever they want to be. There's no rhyme or reason necessarily, other than like right now with it being so cold, anywhere they can go to try to stay warm.
We drove for about 30 minutes before Officer Mapplethorpe gets dispatched for a homeless person outside a shelter on Cannon.
Hello, ma'am. Spokane Police, what's going on?
How does a police officer handle a homeless call? It all starts with simply having a conversation.
What is causing the issue today? Did the mental health cause the drug use, or did the drug use cause the mental health issues? I mean, those are the things we have to try to address.
And that's what he did with this woman sitting on the street.
A woman threatened to kill me.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Conversations like that happen more often than not, according to Spokane police.
Say again?
What? She hasn't been on the meds for a while. She is 5150 California. I need my husband to act like a man.
I see.
Doesn't come here and tell me what to do. Go to the hospital.
Sonia.
I don't need to go to the
Sonia.
hospital. I need a place to stay.
Hey, Sonia.
Where do you want me to wait?
He says responding requires patience, even when they're not.
Is your name?
No money, no nothing.
Is your name Sonia? Can I call you Sonia?
Yes, would you please talk to him? Am I supposed to just wander the streets with no ID?
Well, this is what we have to figure out.
He says part of being an officer is helping connect people to services they need.
With her sitting down like that, I felt a little more comfortable getting closer to her. and then talking to her and figuring out what the issue was.
Officer Mapplethorpe and this woman talk for about 15 minutes before she grabs a couple things and leaves.
Nothing ever really gets accomplished sometimes with these calls. Then they just storm off. That's what it is.
But it's part of the job, diffusing situations and trying to connect people with help through a conversation.
My goal, obviously, is to go home safely at night, just like my goal is to make sure everybody else goes home safely at night.
We've likely all seen it. A homeless man or woman on the side of the road with their dog or cat. You might be curious how they take care of them and wonder why they have them in the first place.
Those we've spoken to say, in some cases, those pets are motivators for people to finally get off the streets.
They're only 10 weeks old.
It's all new sounds and smells for these balls of energy who've been waiting all morning with their owners and siblings for their very first checkup.
And salt and pepper. Come on, sweetie. So
Little do they know,
we can get their first distemper on board. And
it's been a long road getting here.
They've been doing really good. They've been eating.
See, Tracy and Lori and their pets were homeless up until just before last Christmas.
being a woman, it had its challenging moments.
I did live it, and I know how hard it is.
They floated around on the streets at the STA Plaza where they actually met, then into motel rooms, and then finally into their own rental. It took a lot of work, and it's still a precarious situation.
I had to bear, through the winter months and everything, and it was the first time for me, and I just never want to go back that avenue if I can help it.
One of their main motivators in picking up the pieces of their life, you guessed it, these guys.
You want to take care of yourself, but you want to take care of them mostly because they're out there with you.
It's a story of dedication that veterinarians and nurses at WSU who put on this free clinic for both people and pets in need see all the time. The why is crystal clear.
It's the one thing that's very stable for them, and it's their sometimes only friend and only kind of family. And honestly, I think they're sometimes more interested in the care for their pets than they are for their own care.
And that's where this clinic comes into play. It combines it all when it comes to the overall public health picture. Bring in your pets, and you'll also get the care you need. Vaccinations and such. It's a teaching moment, and a model that the dean of the veterinary school says is proving successful.
Trying to keep that unit intact and that pet healthy is critical to the health of that human.
A consideration that should be kept in mind when approaching the homeless problem. Opening up access.
A lot of shelters won't let you come in with a pet. If you need your own medical care, what happens to your animal or your pet when you go to the doctor?
Truly a man's best friend scenario. There's benefits.
It's unconditional love, there's support. It helps your mental health. There's a lot of evidence, actually, that it helps your physical health, lowers your blood pressure, reduces stress.
So as the story of Peanut, Maple Bar, Ambrosia, and Salt and Pepper, Lori, and of course, Tracy continues to unfold.
We keep each other going. They're there for you. If you love them, they'll love you back.
There's just one more piece of the puzzle to think about.
As you can see, so many sides, so many issues, from families with children to veterans without a permanent place to live in Spokane.
We'll report on this issue as long as it matters to you. You can find all of our stories on KXLY.com.
And as the races for Spokane mayor and Spokane City Council positions heat up, we know this will be a talking point for candidates. At KXLY, we're committed to getting beyond the talking points and getting instead to the personal stories behind the data, so that wherever you stand on this issue, you can at least see other perspectives by walking in their shoes. Thanks for watching. With Derek Dice and Robin Nance, along with our team of KXLY reporters, I'm Aaron Luna.
In Their Shoes, a KXLY4 News presentation was brought to you by Avista.